ALC crew, week 16, 2021. Here's what's going on this week. Your responses, preparing for our semester 2 final exam, The Catcher in the Rye, art and foil, and this week's to-do. First, your responses.
JD wrote, "The Now This video uses the history of housing redlining to shed light on social inequality targeted toward African Americans. For years, Americans have preached the so-called American dream, yet many of those same people systemically prevent a large chunk of their fellow Americans from achieving it. One of the factors involved in keeping people of color down was a practice called redlining. In the 1930s, white people were favored over black people to receive home loans. Neighborhoods that were predominantly black were outlined by the Homeowners Loan Corporation, HOLC, in red on city maps, ultimately deeming them as risky investments, while predominantly white neighborhoods were mostly colored in green. This systemic racism prevented African American families from earning property and increasing capital, instead drowning most of America's black population in tough economic stature. Ultimately, this lack of financial stability is a large factor in the social inequality plaguing today's America. Overall, the Now This video effectively utilizes the history of housing redlining to highlight the social inequality affecting African Americans." Miriam A. wrote, "Evanston comes up with a reparation plan. In the article, it says the program is a step towards revitalizing, preserving, and stabilizing black owner-occupied homes in Evanston, increasing home ownership, and building the wealth of African American communities." The article continues that it will grant qualifying households up to $25,000 for down payments or home repairs, according to the city, and is the first initiative of a city reparations fund that was established in 2019. These two quotes from the article show how Evanston is stepping forward to make a change in the world and give African American people more rights that they deserve. Malik wrote, "Social justice activists use vast amounts of reparation plans to finally bring an end to decades of discrimination and unfairness to the black community. A social justice activist channel named Now This states even though black people make up nearly 13% of the U.S. population, they hold less than 3% of the nation's wealth. To add on to this, they also said that white Americans hold 7 times the amount of wealth compared to black Americans. I am shocked that we haven't made reparations yet, though it is better late than never. But until we pay off this debt, we cannot truly say that the American dream is fair for all." Gabriella A. wrote, "I still believe that achieving the American dream and gaining social justice is something that is difficult because of how certain people amongst the society view others. Racial profiling, discrimination, and social injustice are still occurring to this day, and not much is changing. A good example of this would be the gentrification of Pilsen and Humboldt Park. What was once an affordable neighborhood for the lower-income communities is becoming one of Chicago's biggest gold mines in the architectural investment industry. This causes the families that have lived there for generations to be pushed out of the community while bringing in the wealthier class. The novel I read, Just Mercy, by Brian Stevenson, highlighted the issue of the corrupt justice system. A couple ideas that can help spread awareness and change among the justice system is to understand the problem by not rushing without judgment. One must lead with empathy and proceed with the letter of the law, regardless of socioeconomic status, race, ethnicity, and background. Having hope and showing support can help restore the faith lost for the individuals, groups, and families going through a tough time, but also bring awareness for what is going on around us." Sarah C. wrote, "In my book, Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter, Julia's parents' American dream is to move out of their dangerous neighborhood, live comfortably in a home, and be financially stable to the point where they don't have to worry about missing days of work. I think that is the ideal American dream to every Mexican immigrant. The people that aren't living in the United States think that just being able to live here is the American dream, but they don't realize the things that go on here. There is still violence and danger. As we all have noticed in 2020, racial discrimination has been a big issue that we have been experiencing, from police killing innocent black people to killing Asian Americans. All of these cases are unacceptable, and it's sad to see that all of these people haven't had their justice. The ideal American dream for people now is being able to leave their house and come back safely every day."
Excellent work. In plain terms, we have a few short weeks left in the school year and a final exam to prepare for. As expected, this final exam will be a demonstration of your skills in crafting a written literary analysis. To prepare you for this, we'll conclude as we began, through an examination of the American dream. Through the literature we've read, the writing you've undertaken, the storytelling you've examined, challenged, created yourselves, and the deeper questions you've bravely ventured, you may now find yourselves standing in a very different philosophical place. Perhaps your ideas on what it means to be American have changed. Perhaps they've been reinforced and reified. The essential question we'll examine over the next few weeks, and that will be guiding the focus of this final exam essay, will be the following. What do you think The Catcher in the Rye says about the American dream? This week, we'll begin reading The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. Here we'll enter the world of Holden Caulfield, a confused adolescent who tells his own story about how he was expelled from his private school, then spends 2 days wandering New York City. Through his encounters, Holden challenges the authenticity of the adult world as he wrestles with his own coming of age. Some of the themes we'll encounter in The Catcher in the Rye include coming of age, appearance versus reality, alienating oneself as a form of protection, loss of innocence, disgust with the hypocrisy of the adult world, anger as a shield against pain, failure as achievement, and confrontation of fear. As you probably gathered by now, this novel will present us with a more critical, less cozy understanding of the American dream. As Ta-Nehisi Coates wrote in Between the World and Me, I would not have you descend into your own dream. I would have you be a conscious citizen of this terrible and beautiful world. Here, we may rouse ourselves a bit more from that dream, as Holden does the same. We'll begin the week with a brief opinionaire and an analysis of some Catcher artwork, then begin reading the book. Later this week, we'll learn a new literary device, the foil, that will be useful as you plan your final exam essay. Where can I find this book? The full online text for The Catcher in the Rye is located on Canvas under week 16. And if you prefer to couple reading with listening, audio versions of this book can be easily found on YouTube. Journals. Our journal assignments will be short and manageable while simultaneously giving you a chance to practice the writing strategies we've learned this year as you prepare for your final exam essay. For your written assignment this week, choose one of the following. 1. How would you describe Holden Caulfield as he's presented in the first half of the novel? Consider his experience at Pensy Prep, his relationships with Mr. Spencer, Ackley, and Stradlater. Ultimately, is he a reliable narrator? Or number 2. Holden lashes out at certain people and the world around him, calling them phony and hypocritical. Are there points at which Holden contradicts himself? Provide an example and explain. Remember, choose one. Response options. The written journal. Compose an 8 to 10 sentence response that is your own work and accomplishes the following. A. Utilizes the XYZ formula. B. Integrates a quote from the text. C. Provides elaboration. Option 2, a video opinion segment. If you prefer to voice your response using video, here's your big opportunity. First, prepare your response such that it contains the requirements of the written response. Then film a selfie video of you speaking the prompt. Then upload your video to Canvas. So, what do we have to do? 1. Read chapters 1 through 9 of The Catcher in the Rye. 2. Write journal number 1. This will be due on Friday, April 23rd by 11:59 p.m. That's it for this one, ALC crew. We'll see you in class. In the meantime, stay safe, stay focused, and stay connected.